All right, what's up, everybody? It's Kendrick from Gaming Sauce. Today I'm joined by Nick Essex
Howdy.
and Todd Buffalino.
What's going on, everybody?
All right, so today we're going to be talking about what games we've been playing, top news stories we've seen out there, and then what we're going to be looking forward to. Todd, you want us to get us started with what you've been playing lately?
Mostly working on my backlog. I haven't really been playing a whole lot. Mostly Shadow of Mordor, because a lot of games came out after I had some surgery come up, and so I lost some use of. So I've just been catching up on backlog stuff. Shadow of Mordor, Far Cry 4, stuff like that.
Cool. So, how are you liking Mordor? How you
I'm enjoying it. The combat system, something I'm very much used to. I love the Arkham games, and then the setting itself is. I'm a Lord of the Rings fan, so you give me that universe and an open world, and I'm a happy man.
Yeah, I think one of the things I like best about that game was probably the Nemesis system.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it is fun, and then getting waxed by an orc and then coming back and murdering him very much funly is just enjoyable as all get out, and the executions are gruesome and bloody and fun. So it's a good game. I'm enjoying it a lot.
Yeah, definitely. Nick, have you played Shadow of Mordor at all?
Yes, I played it on both PS4 and Xbox. I haven't gotten all the way through it. However, when I did play it, it was fun. I just got super slammed with games last winter. It was just too much to play, Dragon Age and everything. Kind of took me away from that, along with Far Cry 4, but it was a very enjoyable experience. I thought it was almost done better than... I would compare it more from, instead of Arkham, to Assassin's Creed. Maybe like a Assassin's Creed Batman hybrid. But it felt like a sturdier version of Assassin's Creed with better combat mechanics.
Oh yeah, it seemed like to me it was the Assassin's Creed template with the Batman combat because it's WB Games, so they were able to lift that from Rocksteady no problem, and just kind of slam it into their platform or into their game, and it's actually seemed flow better a little bit more than the Batman combat, if that makes any sense, just because it wasn't. I don't know. It seemed a little bit more. It seemed a lot smoother than the Arkham games. I haven't played Arkham Knight yet, but I have. Between Arkham City and Arkham Asylum, it seemed like they worked out the kinks in it.
I think you're right, and I think part of that is the Shadow of Mordor seems more weapons-based combat with knives, swords, stuff like that. Whereas Arkham, it's meant to be that brutal, in-your-face,
hand-to-hand stuff, yeah.
Beating down on the character. So, yeah, I would see why it would feel a little bit more smooth. It's a little easier to go in there and try and knife someone, stealthily, and sitting there holding them in a chokehold.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Far Cry 4 is as well. It's Far Cry 3 with a different antagonist and different setting and same exact stuff, pretty much. At least how I took it. But I'm enjoying that as well. Pagan Min is Voss on steroids. I know that opening few minutes when he takes out his own guy for, I told you to stop the bus, not shoot the bus, and he goes nuts. I was like, okay, this is gonna be fun, So yeah, that's kind of what I've been playing. How about you, Kendrick? What are you up to?
So been playing Destiny. Usually come back to that every day, pick up some bounties on it. I'll level up my gear, get ready for the expansion. But last night I started Assassin's Creed Unity, trying to get back on the backlog, and that game is absolute trash. That game, I'm gonna stick with it probably until the 5th chapter of the story, see where it goes. But I played up to the 3rd chapter of the story, and I think it's garbage compared to what's. And then because Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, incredible game, one of my favorite launch titles for when the Xbox One came out, and it's free right now on Xbox. So if you're going to choose between the two of them, go download Assassin's Creed 4 right now and play that, because that game is an absolute masterpiece, probably the best one in the series next to Brotherhood. But yeah, Unity has so many problems with it. The combat doesn't feel fluid at all. It feels actually really rough. Like they're trying to be more like Arkham or Shadow of Mordor with the counter system, and it's all based in that, but it's not as fluid. Doesn't flow. I don't really like the protagonist Arno. He doesn't seem like he should be an assassin. His dad was an assassin, and he has nowhere else to go because he's homeless. So now he's going to join the assassins. So that's the main story of where he's at right now with it.
Does it seem like they're trying to recapture Ezio? Trying to get that.
I don't think
Yeah,
they're going to recapture
you try to go back to what they had before, and the story of it. It was made by the guys who made Assassin's Creed 1 and Assassin's Creed 3, which I think are definitely the weakest parts of the series, and it shows a lot. I think the game reflects more off of 1, which was very simplified, and the setting doesn't feel very open or active, and I think Victoria London was a great idea, great setting. But so far, from what I've seen from it, it's not looking very good. So.
A little more than practical.
I don't know if you guys have played it at all, but
I got the AC Unity bundle when I got my Xbox, so it's another one I've got to get to. But now hearing your take on it, if it wasn't for the fact that it was a digital title, I'd probably try to trade it in or something. But I've got. Did either one of you ever play Rogue when it came out? Because they released that.
No,
they released Rogue.
I didn't have the PS3 or the 360. I got rid of that stuff when I got my new system.
Oh, did you? Kendrick, did you ever get to Rogue? I checked out a quick.
I was surprised they didn't actually up-res that for Xbox One at all. I was kind of expecting that around this time, like July. I expected that to be like an E3 thing, where they were like, "Hey, Rogue's on Xbox One, PS4, go buy it today." That was one of the things I expected from their conference.
Yeah.
Because it sounded like it was great.
Oh, you played it?
No, just what I heard of it and reviews. A lot of people said it was more of 4 with a more interesting protagonist because he's a Templar. So never got to it, but I heard things about it.
Maybe I'll go back to it because I still have my 360 actually hooked up.
I played Unity, but it just couldn't hook me. Like Brotherhood hooked me. That's one of the only ones I actually 100%ed. I couldn't finish 3. I got fairly far in it, but I just couldn't finish it. 4 is a funny story because when I had 4, it was in between PS3 and 4. So I had it on PS3 and got up to like sequence 8, and then I got it on the PS3 or 4, and then I got to I got an Xbox One first, and I played it on there, and I got sequence 5, and then I swapped that out for a PS4, and I played it on there, and at that point I was like, you know what, I've done these missions 4 times now, and I haven't been able to go back and fully finish it. Plus, it had that glitch with Uplay that wouldn't let you access any of the online features for certain people. They finally fixed that several months after, but on all 3 of the systems I couldn't access Uplay, which that mini game where you're sending your people off and doing kind of the multiplayer stuff was locked. Locked a lot of the functionality. And then by the time that happened, other games came out, and I just never got back to finishing it. Similar to Unity, I played that quite a bit up until I think Sequence 5 as well, and I don't know what it was, I just didn't.
Did either one of you get into the co-op yet of Unity?
No, I was thinking about checking out an online lobby and looking at it, but I don't know if the gameplay is not really hooking me, and I think that with more people, I'm not sure if it's going to work, but I'll check it out definitely. Get to it. Let you guys know. So, Nick, what have you been up to? What games have you been playing?
In the limited time that I've had, I have been kind of spending most of my time on Elder Scrolls Online on PlayStation, as well as shooting a little bit into Rocket League. Not hardcore or anything. I just play a few matches here and there and spice it up a little bit. Elder Scrolls itself is an awesome game. It feels right at home. Graphics are great from what I've seen.
So how's Anthony getting around?
And I don't know, I've just been really happy with it. It's also better that now that there's no subscription fee like it was when it launched on the PC. Everyone that I've talked to that have played it on PC and console says it feels more at home at the console than it did on the PC.
Is it basically Skyrim Online?
Yeah, much bigger than that, yes. The thing that shocked me is, like, when I first started playing it, I got this one spell that I could use, and it just looked so, like, the crystals coming together to shoot at someone just looked so crisp that I honestly didn't understand why that people gave it so much hate, per se, when it launched on PC. I guess PC had a lot more issues than the console releases have had. And other than some minor server hiccups for the first week, which is common with most MMO launches, whether it be console or PC, I've seen no issues, no lag problems, nothing really. I mean, it seems to run smooth, and it's an enjoyable experience.
Suitable birthday
So, I guess my main question, as far as MMOs go, have you got to the main level cap? And then I would ask, what's the end game for it? Are there raids? Are there higher level missions to get?
As a casual player of this, I haven't powered through yet. I'm a level 15. I've been hitting maybe a level or two every time I jump in. Based on everything that I've read and the new expansion that's coming out in September on consoles and late August on PC, there's plenty of veteran levels with PvP modes that are giant 100-person missions. Like, for instance, you'll be running around a giant map of Cyrodiil, which is the location, I believe, for Morrowind. And it's basically you capture different... Sorry, my computer's dying. You capture different... like, you can capture farms to provide food and to your strongholds. You can capture lumber mills and different things. One second. It's dying. There we go. We're safe. So,
oh, you happy birthday today.
and then, I mean, it's literally you jump on your mount and you can go forever before seeing someone. Or if you've got a full server, there's at least another 100 people all in there from different factions. And it's not just faction versus faction, it's all three factions going at it. So on the map, you'll see a big red zone in the right, big blue zone in the left, and if you're the yellow people, which I believe is the Dominion, they'll be at the bottom, and everyone's just trying to capture as many strongholds as they can. Even the, like, there's NPCs in there that you fight. I was a level 12 when I jumped in for the first time just to see what it was like. These are veteran level 12 NPCs. Like, they capped me so many times it wasn't even funny. So I kind of decided to hold off on that until I get some better armor and whatnot. But the end game itself is there's a lot of different veteran missions, veteran armor. The new expansion, like I mentioned, is the Imperial City in Cyrodiil. So there's a whole slew of new weapons, missions, and veteran missions to go with it. So I foresee this continuing for a while, especially since we've seen the PC version go and get expansions and it's on as it is right now.
Is it something you can play by yourself? I mean, or is it something you need to group up with people? Like, could you solo it pretty much all by yourself?
I hit 15 by myself. I've done one group mission where I had 2 people drop, and it was me and one other guy fighting. We just kept dying after a while and we gave up. But other than the group dungeons that you can jump in, a lot of this stuff is solo. So for instance, like all of your actual class missions, I won't call them class missions, but primary story missions tend to be solo. And they pair you up with NPCs or whatnot. So, for instance, the last story mission I did, I went to rescue someone in the Cold Harbor, which is the realm of Molag Bal, which is the big baddie. And I had to fight with her while she confronted her regret, her fear, and her pride. So she could be freed from that place and come back with you to the real world, or Tamriel. And from what I've seen in the past, I've noticed, especially in the Elder Scrolls games, the NPCs that your companions aren't exactly the brightest bulbs in the package. They don't really help much, but in this game thus far, they will jump in there and start fighting and doing things. If you're starting to die and it's a healing person, they will throw a healing spell your way. So, I mean, that's a big upgrade in my opinion from what I used to play in the other games.
All right, it may be worth checking out. I've kind of avoided it because I'm not. I'm a solo gamer. I don't really do the online stuff all that much, but and I was after thinking about it, it was in hindsight it was probably a hollowed wish, but I was kind of hoping that Bethesda was going to announce a remastered of Skyrim so I could get my 100-hour RPG from them and not do the.
You're certainly not the only one that gets that.
So yeah, but it maybe worth checking out. Maybe when the price drops or something.
It's not far-fetched either that Skyrim might be backwards compatible, because Fallout 3 is going to be, and then you just pop in Skyrim from your 360 copy. And
yeah, I guess that could happen, I suppose. Yeah.
well, they do, they put in a little up-res for it, get it widescreen for Xbox One, and then, you have a better-looking Skyrim on your Xbox.
Yeah, that'd be nice because like I said, I'm not the online guy, so I'd much rather. Gaming has always been I'll do co-op and stuff, but here and there, but gaming for me has always been an arm's length social activity. Like I'll talk to other gamers about stuff, and when I did LAN parties back in the day, but not too much. I don't really want to be screamed at by racist 10-year-olds and play Call of Duty or something like that. So, it's mostly been a solo project for me.
I've actually gone from, as a kid, playing couch co-op with some people where most of what I played was single player. I would, occasionally play Perfect Dark with a 4-screen on a little 19-inch TV back in the day with my buddies, just playing against 20 bots, to when Xbox Live hit, playing nothing but online. I didn't really play offline anything except for Grand Theft Auto and some of those things, the must-haves, KOTOR and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Once Mech Assault and Xbox Live went live, I just jumped online. And then in the last couple of years, since I've had kids, and it's harder for me to stay active, and I don't really want them to hear my kids in the background all the time, or, I used to talk trash like the best of them. Now it's like, I've got kids, I can't really do that anymore. So I've kind of gone back to the solo way, although I do play online a little bit here and there. But I've also noticed that in the last few years, at least for me, on Xbox Live and PlayStation, it's a very quiet playing environment now. In the past, people were outwardly trying to make friends and talk nice to each other, and now the only people you really hear are the people who forget to turn their mics off, or the 10-year-olds that want to talk trash and act like they're big and bad. So I've kind of shied away, but I'm getting a little bit back into it. I'll still play a Call of Duty game here and there, and jump in and play some online. It's always good to do once in a while.
Do you think at this point, when it comes to online gaming, most gamers have their quote-unquote clans kind of figured out by now? So they're not really accepting of new people, or kind of that. They're not really looking to add to it. They've got the group that they play with and the platform that they play on.
I think that was the beauty of it in the beginning. No one knew nothing. This was all a new frontier, and everyone was trying to make friends. Like, there was people that I met on Xbox, the original Xbox One, not Xbox One, that I still talk to today. They may not play as much, I may not play as much, but back then you made friends for a long time. I've still got some of them on Facebook or even on the actual consoles that I'll jump in and play with once in a while. Now it just seems like everyone's kind of out for themselves, and unless you have friends in real life that you kind of jump in with online, it can be a little bit harder, especially for people like me that aren't exactly Mr. Outgoing.
Right.
That new group of friends, whereas in the past it was much easier because everyone was trying to.
Yeah, everyone was. It was new to everybody as opposed to just new to you.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Huh. Yeah, like I said, it may be something worth checking out. I don't know. We'll see.
yeah, so I guess with that, we can start getting on news. Todd, what's your first news story of the week?
Um, my biggest thing right now is probably going to be, what is Nintendo's future now that Satoru Iwata passed away, and where does that company go from here? Who takes over? I would imagine, that the powers that be in Nintendo were they may have probably knew more than the public did about his situation, and there may have been someone interim in place. I would, because you can't be a Fortune 500 company and have your CEO pass away and not have anyone ready to take over. But I would just who leads the ship now, and how that. What type of Nintendo we see, and what's going on with this NX thing. Are they completely abandoning the Wii U, and are we going to see another Sega situation come up? Because they went from Saturn to Sega CD to Dreamcast to making games for everybody. Are they just going to get out of the console space? With going to mobile platforms with DNA, and are we going to one day are we going to see Mario on Sony and Xbox platforms?
Yeah, it's a curious thing. I think the dark end time of it is that Nintendo's NX is going to completely fail, and then in 5 years we'll see them become a game developer like Sega. And Mario and Zelda is what they're going to be pumping out every 2 or 3 years. But really, I think the big factor is how much of a leadership role is Nintendo of America going to take. And are we going to see... No, I don't remember who the other guy is they appointed next to Miyamoto, Miyamoto's basically going to take the game side of it. This other guy whose name I can't remember is going to focus on the business side. But then do we see, like, Reggie Fils-Aimé take a bigger role? Go from the CEO of Nintendo of America to taking a bigger role in Nintendo as a corporation together? And do we see them... Maybe Nintendo America and Nintendo of Japan comes together, and then we see these two leaderships form. And this is how the brand goes on to make NX a power, which is what a serious factor that I think we need to think about.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say because I don't know if Nintendo Japan has that much faith in Nintendo USA or Nintendo of the West, because it seems to me, and Sony went through the same ups and downs, that the Japanese culture doesn't necessarily allow for outsiders to come in and tell them how their business is run. And that you can look at that, and you can look at the state of Japanese gaming as a whole, and how they're not the powerhouse that they once were. I mean, we look at Final Fantasy, and it's basically a joke these days. I mean, people have been fighting for Final Fantasy VII as a remake for years, and they're I mean, it seems like the Japanese gaming as a whole, and Nintendo in at the forefront of that seems to be, if NX is a complete and total failure, which odds are could happen, because I mean, I don't have a whole lot of faith in Nintendo, especially without Iwata. I didn't have a whole lot of...
Here's what you have to keep in mind: Nintendo is no longer a hardcore gamer base. Period. Look at what they're actually making money on. Are they actually making money on their hardware anymore? No. They're making money on the 3DS, but it's still not as popular as the DS and the Game Boys before that. They're making their money on the Amiibos, the toys. They're not making it on the Wii U. And yes, the Wii U probably gets a little bit more crap than it should. It's a decent system. Is it strong enough to fully take on Xbox and PlayStation? But it was a movement. No, but it's a movement in the right direction for them initially. But then, as always, because of their strict rules and or just the way they handle their third-party support, people just pull it. I mean, Ubisoft was a major supporter of them. They didn't even put Unity on the Wii U. They were supposed to make a Zombie U sequel. Didn't happen. Now they're just going to port it over to Xbox One and PS4. They're kind of shooting themselves in the foot that way. And if they don't have the games that will drive people to them, other than Zelda, Mario, the occasional Metroid, and the random other stuff like Pokemon and whatnot, eventually people are going to get tired of this And we're at the point where, let's look at this, how many years ago was it when the Wii U came out? Everyone expected them to fail, and Bill Gates had already tried offering Nintendo a bid to buy them, and Nintendo said no. And they shocked everyone with the Wii and how much it sold. But after first year or two, the novelty wore off. The Wii U is performed even worse than the GameCube did back in the day. So I think for them to get back in this game and become relevant again, they need to put someone in charge, whether it's Western or Japanese, that understands that the way they're doing things doesn't work. Now, that's not saying that their first-party game studios are not doing the right thing. They consistently have some of the highest review scores, highest quality games, and people love them. However, you can only sell to the install base you have, and if your console and hardware is not doing it for people, you can make the best games in the world, no one's going to buy them.
It just seems like Nintendo never grew up. I started with my first system was the NES, and I was 8 and 9, and I grew up with Nintendo, but I hit a certain age, and Nintendo just seemed passé or behind the times.
Console.
Exactly. It was, Nintendo never grew up with me as the Microsoft and Sony came into the game, and that's where my gaming tastes have led, and it just seems like they're trying to go after the same market they went after 20 years ago, and it's not working. I mean, yeah, Pokemon still sells, but to who? I mean, I can't say I don't even have a 3DS because it's not something. If I want to play a handheld game, I've got my phone. I don't need a dedicated handheld to play. Pick up and play games on my. I can do that in my free time on my phone as opposed to spending that amount of money on something like that. So it just seems like Nintendo's stuck in the past and hoping for something that they're trying to catch lightning in the bottle with the Wii U that they caught with the Wii, but the casuals aren't buying it.
No one's buying it, honestly. I think the one game that actually pushed Wii U units is Splatoon, and it was a completely new, different experience for them. But even then, a lot of people had complaints about it because it was somewhat in the past. No voice chat, and different other matchmaking issues. That's the other thing. I think people have a problem with, let's say you can choose between playing Call of Duty, Black Ops 3 on the Nintendo NX, the PlayStation 4, or the Xbox One. Let's say the Nintendo NX does not fix the online issues that it has. The account system, the matchmaking's not as good, and just the general way they built it wasn't exactly up to par with Xbox, which, as we all know, I may love PlayStation, but Xbox Live is the superior service.
Oh, for sure.
PlayStation Network. Now, perhaps they could raise that, but it still didn't perform up to that. So if you had that option, let's say the NX is on par with visuals from PS4 and Xbox, which I know isn't going to happen. Which are you going to choose? That established fan base with Xbox Live where all your friends are, or your established fan base on PS4 where that may be where all your friends are, or are you going to go for the new system that could be a hybrid system with weaker internet infrastructure? Which are you going to do? I personally think that people are going to ignore the NX, and I think part of it's going to be because they cut the cord on Wii U too soon, and
it always gets a little slower.
I think that's going to bite them in the butt because people aren't going to trust them. I know I got rid of all my Nintendo gear once they announced the NX and pushed Zelda back and started that whole mobile phone push with DNA. I was like, you know what? I have 2 game systems, and I'm happy with.
Yeah, it just seems to me that they better probably. I mean, they've got money in the bank, so they're not going anywhere. But it seems to me they'd be better off just going. You know what? Let's get out of the console market. We'll make our mobile games, and we'll start making games for everybody else because they'll sell. With all the consoles out there, if you see a Mario on Xbox One or a PlayStation, that'll be top-rated games all the time because you're right. They make quality games. Their first party stuff is, no one beats them. No one touches them, in my opinion. Say what you want about Nintendo and their product, but their quality standards are above and beyond anybody else, and that seems to be where their strength is going to lie, and Nintendo would be a powerhouse again, I would think, in the gaming space.
Well, I think if they're really smart and they're really working and innovating hard, the NX is going to be the answer to everything they've been trying to do. The 3DS and the Wii U, if you bring that together with, let's see what the NX concept is. It's a handheld that works with the home console, and the console is your hub. So what if you take all these games they put on the 3DS throughout the year, every month, every 2 months, we get a smaller game, a Mario Tennis, a Mario Golf, a Mario Kart, whatever, and then 3 or 4 times a year we get a console quality game that we sit down to play on our hub. You bring those two together, and then you're taking the 3DS library, which is massive, the Wii U, which we sit down to play in the fall, and you're bringing those things together to where we can take the handheld with us all the time, play it whenever we want to, sit down on the couch, not use our TV. Then when we need to use a TV game is when we get the great Mario game, we get the great Zelda game, we sit down to play Mario Kart and Smash with all our friends, and instead of them bringing controllers, they're bringing their handhelds with them, or we can meet with them, and then go meet wherever, someone's house. You have your handheld with you, and that's your controller to your console. I think they need to find a way to bring these things together, make it so these game libraries aren't separate, so it's one thing. And what we're going to see is Nintendo's going to come out with a first-party game once a month, every 2 months, because it's not a handheld, it's not a console, it's those things together. And I think if you bring that with an online service, then you don't need to compete with Xbox and PS4 at this point. This can be a complementary system to those things. It's not $500, it's $300. Some middle price point, $250 maybe, something that we can. That's, if you know what I mean. Like, just bring the handheld and the console together, bring these libraries together for what you're making, and then I think that's what they have to do, and Amiibo is going to make up for that. Maybe it'll make up the difference for if they were going to take a loss without it.
Yeah, but I think they're still stuck in the same problem as that. I mean, how many times can you? I mean, they're on what, Mario Kart 8, Smash Brothers 5. I mean, they're churning out the same stuff. There's no. Yeah, they may have the hardware portion figured out, but then, where it's probably a bigger game industry problem. But then they have no innovation. Mario is still Mario, Zelda is still Zelda, Metroid's still Metroid. It's they need, and it seems like they'd still be going after the same market of my nephews as opposed to me. They're not trying to appeal to me. They're trying to appeal to the kids or to the. Zelda, the open world Zelda looks interesting, but to a point, am I going to buy a Wii U to play it? Probably not.
I think that for third parties to stay involved, I think the biggest problem that Nintendo has is their specs are so far off from PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and even back before that. The specs are so different that I think it's hard for them to fully port a game over to that system. So if they go off of the hybrid theory, which we were thinking they're going to do, and I'm sure it will happen, you have to keep in mind, for people to want a hybrid system and be able to take that out, the idea behind that is that you're going to be able to take your game anywhere. But for it to be a high quality, even let's say they do Zelda U and it's on NX, people aren't going to want to just be able to plug it into the hub and just play the mobile games on their system later. They're going to want to be able to take that wherever. And to do that, how much money is it going to cost to make that handheld portion of it long enough to run the game when you're not sitting right in front of that hub?
Yeah.
Without that. Because technically we already have that with the Wii U. Granted, we can't take that controller wherever we want yet. But, how much would that Wii U gamepad cost? I believe the behind it itself is $150.
And then
so just for that one handheld controller, and that's with half the functionality that you're thinking that NX will have in its hybrid setup. So if they go into this, I think they have to bring it on par with the PlayStation 4 and Xbox to coerce the third parties that they've scorned in the past, supporting these games, bringing Call of Duty back, bringing Assassin's Creed back, Far Cry, or Grand Theft Auto. I mean, you know what would be awesome? A Fallout game on the Wii U, using the Wii U gamepad as your piston and whatnot. I mean, I think that kind of stuff would be awesome, but no one wants to make that game because the different specifications between the Wii U and the other consoles are so radically different. It would require lots of extra time, energy, and manpower just to port that. That's why you see a lot of games that are announced saying, oh, coming to all consoles, including Wii U. Magically, the Wii U version vanishes and disappears and never ends up coming out. Look how long it took them to bring Watch Dogs after Watch Dogs was already delayed. How long from just the actual consoles? I think for Nintendo to be relevant, they have to bring it back to the hardcore audience, because as we've noticed, the casual audience is fickle. Now that we have iPhones that have giant screens, I mean, who's going to want to buy their console, especially now that they're going to start putting out their IPs into mobile phones and whatnot? What's going to tell me, well, instead of playing Mario in here, I should go out and spend $300 on a Nintendo NX?
In the dishwasher or something.
Yeah, I think that your Fallout point with the hardware, I'm not sure that it would be possible to put Fallout 3 on the Wii U. It's barely on par with 360 and PS3. It would probably take a lot just because of their specifications. So as far as hardware goes, Nintendo really would have to get AMD on board with a processor that puts them on par with Xbox One and PS4. And I think Nintendo first party could use that power to make better first party games. But I think just that if they continue with that Japanese culture and that mindset of, we don't really need Western help, we can do it on our own, the ways of old or the way we've done it, we can keep going with that. I think it'll be getting fun. And I think that the guys in Nintendo America can make them realize it, but can they get to them to the point of where it's worth saving? And I think that's where we're going to end up with Nintendo.
To your point of Kendrick, to your point of taking your games on the go with the NX, Sony kind of showed everyone that I don't want to play a console quality game on a handheld. I want to play a console quality game on my big 40-inch plasma at home with a controller in my hand. I don't want to play Fallout 4 on the bus. I don't want to play Call of Duty in a waiting room somewhere. I want to play it comfortably and in my setup. So I don't think they'll really ever get third party back. And if they do, they won't utilize the take your handheld with you thing, just like no one uses the pad. They won't utilize the system will be gimped from the beginning because third party won't use it the way Nintendo wants them to use it, and then they're back to the same point, back to the same position of, well, people aren't making games for us the way we want them to make games for us, so we'll make our own games, and they'll be right back to where they started.
Yeah, definitely. So, Nick, let's go with your news story next. What do you want to bring to the table here?
I know what the Black Ops beta is going to be coming to. The Black Ops multiplayer beta will kick off on Xbox One and PC on Wednesday, August 26th, and it will run through August 30th. Apparently, PlayStation 4 will be getting it first, of course, now that they've got their new exclusive deal with them, nice and cemented in. They will get it August 19th, running through August 23rd. So I think that's good news for all the people that are waiting for the next Black Ops. I personally enjoy the Black Ops series myself, but then again, I've always been a sucker for Treyarch's Call of Duty games, mainly because I love zombies. Period. Uh, I think this will. I think that's gonna run up the servers quite a bit on at the end of August.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be interesting to see what it plays, because the way when I look at it, I thought Black Ops 2 was great. I thought the multiplayer for it was fantastic, and they're taking Black Ops 2. They're taking this, fluid wall running that I saw with Titanfall, which I thought Titanfall was a fantastic shooter. And then the thing that is most interests me that I want to see what they can do is basically in Black Ops 3, you have your 3 kill streaks. Then you have a little bar on the bottom right that's like a super from Destiny, and it works just like Destiny, where you hit your bumpers and you activate it, and then you get your power to go. And I want to see how, because the guys that are going to be playing this beta are going to be the guys that are buying Call of Duty in November. So we'll be playing against people who know the game, are excited for it, and that's what'll be exciting. It's not going to be Joe Schmo that's buying it on day one. But what's going to be interesting is how does the fluidity in the wall running innovate Call of Duty to make it different, and then how do these supers differ it from what we've known in the past? So that's what I'm interested in seeing. I want to see if they're getting away from camping in a corner, getting a 25 kill streak, and if it's just going to be, a fluid multiplayer experience, which is what they've been looking for, and which I thought Ghost and Advanced Warfare didn't have.
Yeah. I played the last two, actually. The one I've liked the least is Ghost. I don't know what it is, but I couldn't get into the multiplayer on that. It just felt like I would walk 1 second dead. It didn't matter where I was, I would die constantly. Then again, I'm not the best first-person shooter person, but I still enjoy them. Advanced Warfighter, I felt, was a strong game. And it started, I think it was the first one of the Call of Duties that kind of tried taking pages out of Titanfall's book.
Hi. Yeah,
and I'm a sucker for Kevin Spacey from House of Cards. But I'm very interested to see what's going on. I've always enjoyed the, as a matter of fact, let me go back. Ghost and Advanced Warfare, where you did all the leveling up and all that, how you handled your perks and all that seemed a little confusing to me. I just kind of wanted to jump in there and get going rather than spend a while just trying to create my character, especially in a first-person shooter. It's like, just choose my loadout like it was in the past. Whereas Black Ops, it seemed pretty easy. You just pick this, this, and this. It matches up. We're good to go. Let's move forward. And then you're in there shooting. So I'm very interested to see how they actually do the leveling system and how different they make it. And if it's going to remain balanced, then we're not going to see people jump to 20 prestige again in the first 24 hours or something like that, like we've seen in the past.
You want to hear what Linda said?
Yeah, so I think it'll be very interesting. Looking forward to the beta and what we see from it as it comes out, and you'll be able to find it on our website with pieces and see what we all think about it. And so going into the new story I wanted to bring is that Star Wars Battlefront is going to be playable first on Xbox One with EA Access. As we've seen from Battlefront, it sounds like PS4 is going to get the exclusivity with the DLC and the PS4 and all the Battlefront commercials and all that. But Xbox One's going to get the game first because of the EA Access trial. What do you guys think of it? Does it factor into what system to play it on? Is it all smoke? Does it not matter at all? Is it a factor? What do you think?
As far as Battlefront goes, I've only got the one system. I've only got the Xbox One, so that that kind of nips that point in the bud. But again, it's that multiplayer focused stuff, and I'm more interested in the other Star Wars titles that may be coming out as far as compared to Battlefront, because I played Battlefront 1 and 2 back in the day, and now it's it seems to be more of the same, and not really all that intrigued by it. But the Star Wars fanatics out there, I'm sure the people that have been pining for this game forever will be excited, and more power to them.
I personally already pre-ordered the deluxe edition on digital for PlayStation. Ordinarily, I might care, and I might have been swayed, but as we all know, 1 week prior, Fallout 4 I'm going to be playing Fallout while everyone else is going to be testing it out on Xbox to let them figure it out. I don't care. And then I will jump on Battlefront nice on that night that it launches, and I'll enjoy it while I enjoy it, and that's that. I think this whole console-exclusive DLC, store-exclusive DLC, if you pre-order it here, you get this costume, that costume, wherever, I think it's getting a little out of hand. But we all kind of knew when they announced the game and all that EA Access existed. Sony had the opportunity to grab EA Access and decided that they didn't want to. That kind of sucks, but it is what it is at this point. So yes, it might drive some Xbox sales. And put up a good point, you probably understand this as well, Kendrick. They did the same thing with Destiny, not the early launch or anything, but Destiny was pushed on PlayStation hard, very, very hard with all that, the exclusive console bundle, the exclusive little DLCs they dropped and everything like that, all the
alpha the day of
marketing
in the middle of their conference. They're like, hey, Destiny Alpha right now, and you heard some people, they went and bought PS4s just to go play the Destiny Alpha that day.
Exactly. And you know what? It didn't change anything, because if you look at some of the numbers that they've released, and I got this from Podcast Beyond and IGN and whatnot, it didn't help. People still bought the game on Xbox and still play the game on Xbox. Even if you check some of the different Destiny groups across Facebook and whatnot, a lot of them are saying they're playing it on Xbox. So to some people, that it just doesn't matter. They're going to play it where they're going to play it regardless. I just happen to have worked out in my gaming library that certain games I'm going to grab for Xbox, like Rainbow Six, and some games I'm going to get on PlayStation, like Battlefront. You know, it just, to me, it doesn't matter. It just so happens that that's what I'm going to get it on.
So, I mean, as a broader point, do you guys think exclusivity matters anymore? I mean, with Street Fighter V and Tomb Raider with Microsoft, or whatever. Do you think it really? I mean, are those titles specifically, or any other, or with Sunset Overdrive, or Rise, or anything? I mean, those don't really seem like console movers. I mean, with even with Uncharted 4 coming to PS4, that's not really going to sell. That's not going to add an extra 4 or 5 million consoles to Sony's pocket. It's just going to, I don't think exclusives matter really much at this point. At this point in the game,
I think at this point, with where the consoles are at, the main factor is what first-party games interest you, and where are your friends playing. If you're a single-player gamer like you are, Todd, and then you want to be playing, like you can play Fallout, you can play all these third parties on your Xbox or your PS4. Are you a fan of Halo? Are you a fan of Gears of War? Are you a fan of Forza? Then you're going to be on Xbox. Are you a fan of Uncharted? Are you a fan of Horizon that's going to be coming out? Are you a fan of Last Guardian? All these Sony first parties, then that's where you want to be. If you're a multiplayer gamer, it's where are your friends playing. Where are your friends playing Destiny? Where are your friends playing Madden? Where are your friends playing NBA 2K? Where are they going to be playing Battlefront? And are your friends playing Fallout on Xbox? Do you want to be talking to them in party chat while you're playing Fallout? I think that those are the two factors that sell a console. And I think if they put work into their first parties and throw it off to the fans, then they tell their friends, and their friends come play with them because that's where they want to be.
Yeah, I just don't think the needle really moves when it comes to, or like with at E3 this past summer or this past year, with Sony announcing they get the DLC first for all of the Call of Duty titles and all that other stuff. I just don't think that moves the needle all that much these days. I think it more boils down to what you prefer and who you want to play with.
That's true.
I don't think it's going to cause that big of a deal. Now, I disagree with you. I think Uncharted will move consoles, but I don't think it's going to be as noticeable because look at what they've done thus far without that killer, individual PlayStation app. Like, other than Infamous and the horrendous release of Drive Club and whatnot, what exactly do you know of that's been a PlayStation exclusive that would have moved anything? for some reason, Sony has realized that they are pushing these consoles like they're going out of style, and they have no games. Even E3, they announced a bunch of games, but how many of them are actually coming this year?
Nothing.
So the question
Their
is going to
big
be,
titles, the Uncharted trilogy, and then whatever their third-party deals are that they have out there.
yep, the question is going to be, Xbox has several. Halo and Tomb Raider in particular. Now, I think Tomb Raider's screwed because it's launching the same day as Fallout 4, and I think
That's getting delayed.
Push to December. Gotta be pushed to.
Yeah, everyone's looking at Fallout's way.
as of right now, it hasn't happened. But the question is going to be, when the dust settles after this holiday, did Xbox having those exclusives help it? Did it push anything more? Did they sell more, and did they bridge the gap between Sony? If it didn't, then Microsoft's screwed, because at this point I don't see anything they can do that will really push it. Backwards compatibility might help a little bit, but in the end, if its own exclusive titles aren't pulling people over to it to buy more consoles, and people are still buying more Sonys or PlayStations than Xbox without the exclusives, what can they do? What's going to change that? Because I will tell you this, it's going to be a strong starting lineup starting in early 2016 for PlayStation. And I think the only thing Xbox has got lined up in that time period is Quantum Break, which is a brand new IP from a very well-known developer, but that versus Uncharted, I don't know. Naughty Dog has had some good success in their games. So, and this is I think that'll push consoles for Sony, but it might not be as noticeable because we're already at, 23 million consoles sold for Sony? So, I mean, they don't really have to push too much harder. They can coast for the next few years on that. It's just the games where people might jump over to Xbox. I know I've thought of it a little bit here and there with their lack of consistency with their own games. Maybe I would jump over with backwards compatibility and whatnot. But thus far I haven't.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say. I think between the fact that Microsoft is coming in under the PlayStation 4 right now as far as price goes, and with their exclusives, I think they're going to make up a lot of ground coming into the fall season and into the holiday of this year. So it's kind of, with you throw in backwards compatibility, because there are still a lot of people out there that have only their 360 still, and and they're getting good deals as far as trading goes, and with backwards compatibility you can hold on to your library a little bit longer. So I think Phil Spencer all but said we're killing the 360, so now's the time to jump in. And so I think it's their best opportunity. I think this is going to be their best shot to make up ground on Sony this year. And I'm not saying they're going to overtake them, but I think the gap was going to get shortened.
Yep.
Yeah, so let's see where we're at right now. Okay, we're at about almost an hour here. So if we want to tease it for next week, we can talk about what game we're looking forward to. Just say the name, and I think we'll take that into next week. So the game I'm most excited for that I want to be talking about is an expansion, Destiny the Taken King. I want to tell you guys about how I'm feeling about it, how we're looking forward to it, and how they're going to be changing the game with it. Todd, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking I may make I've been dying to get my hands on Witcher 3, and I'm hoping that next week I may be able to make that jump and get lost into that, because I played Witcher 1 and 2, and I want to round out the trilogy with Geralt and see how it goes.
All right, and Nick, tease us. What game are you most looking forward to? Which I think we've heard a lot in this podcast. So
Fallout 4 and Battlefront. Those are my two games of the fall, to be honest. I am a sucker for Star Wars, and with Star Wars coming out the month after, I'm going to be having Star Wars fever hitting me hard, as well as Fallout 4. Fallout 3 to me is one of my favorite games of all time, probably number 3, period. It's the only game that I kept well after I beat it and consistently played, and I've owned it on every console thus far. So Fallout 4, I'm really looking forward to jumping back in and kicking some mutant butt.
Something internal to the computer.
Awesome. Well, for everything throughout the week, you can find us on GamingSauce.com, bringing you our news, our impressions, our opinions, all the good stuff about games. And Todd, Nick, thank you for joining me for this episode today.
Thanks
And
for having
we'll
me.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, see you guys next week.
we're out.